Hi everyone, I'm repeating the claim of fact made by David Brown that reducing and or eliminating music programs in K-12 public schools will have a harmful effect on student achievement. My claim in response to this is that public schools may reduce or eliminate music programs in K-12 schools without significantly harming student achievement. I will prove this through the proof of three minor claims. Firstly, the studies which the advocate uses to prove his main claim are inconclusive. Secondly, I will prove that there are more efficient methods of improving student achievement than through music. And thirdly, I will show that Mr. Brown's last point is invalid. Now, Mr. Brown claimed in his first 2 points that music programs prepare young students to learn better and that music programs improve academic achievement. My first claim in response to these is that the studies the advocate cites are inconclusive. There are other studies which contradict those cited by the advocate. For example, there is a series of studies in Finland reported by Mikko Anttila in the British Journal of Music Education that states, many young people feel dissatisfaction with what music education institutions provide and fail to find them motivating. According to the results of a series of empirical studies, school music education can have a negative effect on many pupils and undermine their musical self-esteem. Now, this conflict of information is explained best by Konstantin Koopman, a member of the Institute of Philosophy and History of Education at the University of Nijmegen in the Netherlands. In his article, Why Teach Music at School, published in the Oxford Review of Education, he states, despite all claims about positive side effects of music, it should be stated that none of these has been demonstrated convincingly. Problems arise, for example, in designing sufficiently sensitive measures, in controlling for confounding variables, and in dealing in a satisfying way with variables like intelligence, creativity, and personality. In essence, Koopman thinks that music should be included in public education, but that it does not necessarily benefit children academically. This proves that the studies used by the advocate are inconclusive. My second claim, still in response to the advocate's first 2 claims, is that there are more efficient programs which can be implemented to improve student academic success. Konstantin Koopman, in another article entitled Music Education, Performativity and Aestheticization, states, it seems impossible to defend that music education is, for instance, the most efficient way of improving particular cognitive or social skills. As proof of this, I offer the results of a study done by the College Board in 2005. It states that arts participation and SAT scores co-vary. That is, they tend to increase linearly. The more arts classes, the higher the scores. Notably, students who took 4 years of arts coursework outperformed their peers who had 1.5 years or less of arts coursework by 58 points on the verbal portion and 38 points on the math portion of the SAT. However, these numbers are misleading because of the fact that students taking 1/2 year of music actually scored 23 points lower than the verbal portion, and 18 points lower on the math portion than the national average of all test takers. In fact, it was not until students had 4 or more years of music experience that their average scores increased markedly above the national average. Before that, the math scores were actually lower than the national average. In order to give you something to contrast this with, I found a school which implemented a simple summer reading program. All the more reported in the publication Library Media Connection that Matoka High School in Chesterfield, Virginia, simply gave 9th graders a list of books to read during the summer of 2005 that could be easily checked out at their local library, and told them that there would be a test on the books at the start of the school year. The program was then continued for the next few years, and in 2008, it was reported, over the past 3 years, we have seen our Virginia SOL English reading scores improve by 11 percentage points, along with a 50-point increase in SAT verbal scores. Therefore, through this simple reading program, scores increased much quicker than through music programs. This proves that with the money saved by cutting music programs, public schools can implement cheaper, more efficient replacement programs and avoid harming student achievement. My third and final claim is that the advocate committed the fallacy of irrelevant thesis with the claim that music programs produce lower rates of substance abuse. In other words, he proved this point beyond a doubt. However, he failed to relate it in any way back to his original claim about the reduction of music programs in K-12 schools and the harmful effects they will have. In conclusion, the studies which the advocate uses to prove that music education is beneficial are inconclusive, and music does not improve student achievement in a very efficient way and can be easily replaced by cheaper programs. Therefore, schools can reduce or eliminate music programs without hurting the academic achievement. Thank you.
All right, well, the claim, basically you're developing a good counterclaim that's going to respond to the first 2 points extensively, and you've done some original research that answers those points that the advocate presented, challenges the assumptions of the reasoning on those particular points, and I thought that it did it very well. I was a little concerned because you had that one piece of information on that second point talking about the the math skills and the covariating with the SAT scores. I'm saying, well, that's exactly what they're talking about. But then the explanation is that it really doesn't have any significance until they've done 4 or more years in order to get that impact. And then I think that at that point, you're talking about a substantial investment in order to get this, not a minor investment. And so I think that that's a point that you need to explain a little bit more, but it does kind of minimize the claim that the advocate's presenting. The summer reading program is an alternative way of increasing scores. I thought that was pretty reasonable. The challenge on relevant thesis on the third point needs to be explained a little bit more because it's really about student achievement. I think that's the point that you're talking about, because when you say, you haven't shown it has any harmful effect, well, it does sound like it has a harmful effect. It has a harmful effect on their use of drugs, but the claim that the advocate presented was on student achievement. So I think that that's the part that you needed to emphasize in your point. Other than that, I thought that the responses were very clear and thoroughly documented, which adds to your credibility on those particular points. All right, thank you. We're going to call it a night, folks. Thank you very much. We'll pick this up on Wednesday. Thank you. Yes, please.